Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another animation analysis video. Hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's UI Goku video. Obviously in honor of the boys EZA, I had to do a video on him. But today we're going to be taking a look at something very interesting. Occasionally I will do these videos where I take a look at something that's not necessarily the super attack animations. There will be a couple of those in this video. But a couple of other animations in Dokkan that really kind of tickle my fancy to take a look at because they're a little bit more unique when it comes to taking a look at some of these animations. And not to mention, it's always just interesting to see what they do. And not to mention, it's always a good change of pace from doing the standard unit super attacks. So today, from the last JP data download that we had, which obviously was on the 4th day, yes, would be, or well, technically I think it was on the 5th day going into the 4th day of the countdown, right, for the anniversary, we had a bunch of very interesting stuff drop. We had, of course, the Gogeta, right, which I guess we'll just watch through the video rather than scrolling through and telling you why not. We have a video in front of us, right? We have the brand new prize card, Gogeta. Very interesting about this guy, by the way. He is the first prize card TUR, and he's also apparently going to be getting an EZA because we saw in the data that he had a sticker for his card in the files, which is weird because these guys never get EZAs because, you know, they're just like the prize cards. Unfortunately, we're not going to really take too much of a look at, obviously, this essay because it is the very generic, you know, Kamehameha, right? Like, we'll kind of talk about it a little bit more, I guess, when we go into the analysis part. But we also had Frieza, which is really cool because this asset has been a story asset for a long time. And I actually have been looking forward to taking a look at this animation because I wanted to talk about it quite a bit. It is really cool. I'm not going to lie. I actually really like that animation. And we do have Beerus, right? With the TUR and the SSR having the generic Beerus, you know, kicking the Hakai ball type of thing. This card, by the way, is going to be the free LR for this celebration. We don't exactly know what scene this guy is going to Dokkan Awaken into, but I'd have to imagine that he's not going to be keeping this super attack for either the 12 key or the 18 key because obviously it's such a stinky super attack, all things considered. So I would hope that they would update that when that time comes. But we do have the login bonus, the login screen, rather, the title screen, which is a very interesting one in terms of how it's animated, and we will take a look at that more in depth in a second. But obviously, for the most of this video, the actual animation analysis itself is more so going to be coming from Frieza's side. But I do, of course, before we move forward, want to give a huge thank you to the boy Dokkan World. He always lets me use his videos for this type of thing, so I always appreciate it. Definitely go. I mean, if you're on my channel, surely you must know Dokkan World, and surely you must be subbed to Dokkan World. I don't think I have to tell you that, but of course, go check out the boy in the description below. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Gogeta. As I said before, Gogeta really doesn't have too much to write home about. I do like that for the card art, they do have Shinron forming a 9 in the background. That is pretty cool because obviously they've run out of Dragon Balls and fingers on your hands by this point. So that's a cool way to do it. It'll be very interesting to see how they do a 10 next year because obviously 8 and 9 are much easier to make. But yeah, this is your super basic, like super old, you know, Kamehameha effect, basically. It is quite literally nothing to write home about. The only thing that I guess is really to note here that's kind of cool is that they do have the lava background. That is nice that they did bother to include that. I do kind of wish for these prize cards that they would give them better super attacks nowadays. Like, I feel like at this point they deserve it. I know that they are definitely more so box trophies, and they should definitely, like, I don't know, it makes sense to me, rather, why they have these generic super attacks, because they're not really meant to be used, and they're not good either, so you're not really going to be using them. So I get it, they don't want to put all their resources into it, but at the same time, especially if this guy's going to have an EZA, I feel like that they should really buff these supers a little bit more if they're going to be making these cards usable. But who knows, maybe the EZA won't be good, which would be bad, but, you know, then I guess maybe that's justification for the super not being so good. I'm not too sure on that one, but just your generic super attack effect. Now, this guy is what I really wanted to talk about in this video. We do have the boy Frieza here, which is really, really cool. And honestly, he has a really, really nice looking super attack. It's cool because it's one of those things where for a free-to-play card, right, it makes sense that they would give him something like this where he doesn't have an actual background, right? Because obviously, sometimes, right, I think in the modern day, I would say it's usually like Super Strikes that kind of do this sort of thing, where they basically don't have an actual background on the card, and it's just like a sort of like HD or updated version of the animation. The other interesting thing about this guy as well is that his TUR is already in the files, and not to mention he already has a sticker in the files, so this is the super attack that we're going to be getting. He's not going to be getting any other kind of updated super attack. However, I still think that this is pretty cool, right? So, starting off this animation, right, we have the little bit of the scouter effect, which is pretty cool. Obviously, the whole screen is green. I quite like that a lot. And we have Frieza staring into the scouter. Now, I will say, this isn't anything crazy, but it is a little bit of an inconsistency, I suppose. The scouter color is green. I guess it could maybe be blue-ish, but it definitely looks more green to me. And you can see here that Frieza's scouter is obviously blue. I don't know. You can make it. I think you could get away with saying it's blue, but it definitely looks more green to me. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments what you think about that one, but that's definitely nitpicking a little bit, right? So either way, though, I do like this shot. Obviously, you have Frieza kind of backing up from the camera a little bit, which is cool. And they actually have some very fluid animation on Frieza's hand here, right? And not to mention his head. I'm actually quite impressed with the animation that is at play here for Frieza. Let me go back to before he actually supers. I'm trying to get to the part, here we go, where he actually moves his hand. Is quite well done, I will say, right? You have this part here where he's kind of moving. I keep hitting the wrong key. That's my problem. I meant to hit this key. There we go. He obviously moves his hand, right, out like this, and then back a little bit. I think it is a little bit jarring, I will say, with his hand going from here to here. I do kind of wish there was one more frame in between that, because that does make it look a little bit jarring, and not to mention with kind of the way that the shading changes a little bit. But again, it's not too bad, and also it's a free unit, so, you know, we're not obviously looking at it on the same level as these Dokkan Fest animations. But the swipe of the arm actually looks really good, if I do say so myself, right? The actual Frieza going whoop with his arm to bring it forward here. Even though it is a sharp cut, they do a good job of kind of tricking your mind that it's moving super quickly, right? And then obviously having the little bit of motion blur on Frieza's hand definitely helps out a lot too. And I like this. Obviously, they kind of cut to black and then have the laser right in your face, right? Which is awesome. I quite like that a lot. It's a nice little touch. Then having the little gleam, right, of the attack before obviously showing Frieza's card art. And we then, of course, transition to the shot of Frieza actually launching it from behind, right? Which is just a basic laser beam, right? Obviously, the beginning was where the budget went into. But it is cool to see they do have this little bit of, like, circles effect on the actual beam as it's flying up. That is pretty cool. And not to mention, bopping into the enemy, right? With the little explosion and Frieza looking on. Now, this isn't like, you know, this super attack is nothing crazy, but I do still think it's pretty cool for a free unit, right? I do think in years past there may have, I'd have to go back and look at some of the free cards from past anniversaries and stuff. I do feel like there maybe have been better animations, but I don't think that this is bad by any stretch of the animation. I meant to say imagination, but that worked. But I think it works for this Frieza, right? I think it works fine. And not to mention, you know, obviously we'll have to see how good he actually is, but I don't know. I still think he's pretty cool, and I think just in general, it's pretty cool that you know, they they added, rather, I should say, you know, basically making a old story event asset into an actual card, right? I think that is pretty cool. And not to mention, I think he also might have been a boss, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong on that. But either way, though, this particular asset was a super attack asset, or a story asset, rather. Okay, so then we have Beerus, right? Again, I'm not going to, like, go too crazy on this one, and it is the same super attack, so we'll just skip the second one. But when it comes to this, I'll definitely make a video when this guy gets an actual LR, because obviously he'll have some better animations. But it'll be really interesting to see what they actually give him, because obviously at the moment it is this super generic, you know, just basically 3 different Beerus sprites, right? Him readying it up, him with his finger up, and all of the, you know, Hakai balls around him. Obviously the card art appearing. Very cheeky face on that bad boy. And then, you know, quite literally just the PNG sliding in to kick the ball. So obviously this is just a very generic, like, old Beerus super attack. You can tell by the explosion effects. I am almost positive that when this guy actually gets a Dokkan Awakening into an LR, they will most likely give him a banger 12 key and 18 key. I cannot see this thing as the 12 key, because if it is, this is easily the worst animation that a free-to-play LR in the anniversary has ever gotten, for sure. That would be a huge fumble, honestly. So we'll see, though. We will definitely see what they give the man. Now, we're going to skip past this, though, because it is quite literally just the same animation. Now, I did want to comment on this, right? Obviously, this is a little bit different in terms of, you know, me necessarily, like, commenting on this from a animation standpoint, because I believe I've taken a look at both of these guys. I know I've taken a look at Gogeta before. I'm pretty sure I've taken a look at Broly as well. But these animations are quite literally ripped from 2 other cards, right? This is from Fizz Broly, right? Obviously, this is from the super attack animation. And the basically blast just kind of goes over. Let me see if we can find the frame here. The blast, right, goes over right here to blue, right, to then transition to 5th year anniversary Gogeta's active skill animation, right? And then obviously they zoom in on his eye, and then they show this awesome card art, which I will say the animation, or card art, title screen art rather, on this one, fantastic. I love this so much. I love the little touch of the rocks, right? I love the little touch of the Kamehameha kind of glowing a little bit, right? It is very slight, but I think it works perfect for the purpose of a title screen, right? Obviously, the whole point of a title screen, the nice little blue, you know, little dust kind of coming off of it too. It fits very well for what the purpose of a title screen is, to just kind of have it sit there and look cool, right? I think it definitely accomplishes that job with this little bit of minimal animation. Now, it is quite weird to me, because I can't recall another time. In comment section, you can definitely leave your thoughts down there for this one. Has there been a time where they've straight up used super attacks and animations from another card to then use for a title screen animation? I swear there has been like one instance, but I can't recall. This could definitely be the first time though, and I could just be misremembering. So let me know in the comments below if there has been, because I genuinely cannot recall if there has been one or not, or if it's been like a slight implementation of it. But I think the weird thing is here, it's just completely the animation, right? It's Broly's almost the whole super attack, right? And then not to mention a chunk of Gogeta's active skill here. It's just kind of weird that they would just take it from 2 existing things, right, to then basically just have them cut from one to the other to then the title screen. It's just a little bit of a strange choice, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't not like it, and I think it works well enough for a title screen, right? Like, obviously, the whole point of a title screen is you have this little intro animation, right? It's supposed to be short and sweet, and not to mention, right, you also just have a little quick introduction to the game, right, when you're logging in, right? And it's a simple animation. The title screen animations usually are pretty simple, right? And not to mention, these animations do look good, right? It's not that they look bad or anything like that. You know, they've definitely aged a little bit, but I think it's also like for a title screen animation, even though, you know, I would say for a super attack they've aged, just using them for that purpose, I don't think that they, like, you know, feel out of place. They feel very in place for what it would be. It's just strange because obviously we know that they come from a super attack animation in the first place. So let me know what you guys think about this decision. I'm a little bit mixed on it. You know, like I said, I don't dislike it, but it would be still cool if it was an original animation. But yeah, let me know what y'all think of this in the comment section below, and as well let me know what you think of all of the animations that we took a look at today. Obviously we will be looking at Beerus again in the future, not to mention I also wanted to do a video on that Frieza because I thought his animations were pretty cool. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. I'm looking forward to everything that we got for the anniversary, and I will see you then. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.